Robert Putnam talks about bonding capital and bridging capital. I think this is a very good theme for what's happening with this, within this conference. Bonding capital is your solidarity. You can be strong within your solidarity, but bridging capital is a strength of weak ties, connecting to groups that you're not that connected to. And this is really important, I think, to generate economic activity, friendship, social cohesion, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to be the key to opening up the China market in an effective manner. Anybody who knows anything about China knows about economic development in China is going to take a lot more than our prime minister leading a few people, a delegation over there. It is one of the most treacherous environments around. If you don't have your human relations down, you cannot do it. These Kiwi Chinese, I think, are an important asset, but they can't do it alone either. The problem is during this extreme prejudice against them over the years, that group mainly lost their Chinese. They cannot speak Chinese. They're very Kiwi, and one of the reasons they can't articulate the difference is they can't shift over to Chinese. So all of these interviews are done in English. So I thought I'd show you some contrasts. So I did some additional interviews outside of the New Zealand Chinese Association with first generation Chinese women immigrants in Nelson. And there, it's just so different. These are much lower in social status. Most of these are mothers, but they were very able to articulate the importance of preserving Chinese values that were similar to the Kiwi in Chinese in practice, but they could articulate. And you know, the formula for Chinese is so simple. They're success, hard work, thrift, respect elders, sacrifice for family, and follow your conscience. Now, this term I put in the Chinese is called liangxing. It does not translate perfectly, but those of you who are Chinese will know. Those of you who don't will take a long time to figure it out. And how does it grasp? How does this make sense in the New Zealand context? Is if you pull those together around following the Western value of freedom to do what makes you happy, you are going to be a very successful person. And that's the kind of interview I got from them. I could never get it clearly stated among the Kiwi Chinese, but I got it from these women migrants. And what they articulated is that the big difference is not among people, but in social systems. The social system of China is high pressure competition for material goods and social status. And they were looking for relief from that. And I think you need to understand that the Chinese people who are coming here are aware of this. They know this. They appreciate New Zealand for what it is, but they appreciate China for what it is as well. To get on top of the ladder in China is not very easy, I'll tell you that. All right? This is a narrow track for success, driven by parental expectations that are internalized from academics, higher-end job, no questions asked. So these are the kind of discourses in there. I don't have time. I was going to read out the Chinese history. I thought at a diversity forum I should, but I don't think I have time. This is just this idea of this Taiwan having these huge societal pressures. Your life is mapped out from A to Z. And it might not be such a great life. Because sometimes you fall off, like this woman is saying about, you know? You got to do this A, B, C, D, E, F. And again, sometimes I just wasn't strong enough. I could fall into a constricted circle, turning and turning. 很容易陷入一个所谓一个圈圈，一转又一转。如果你够坚强。So just this falling off the track. Not everybody can keep up with this high pace, and nor is it healthy. Oops. And so this, a different person talked about this lack of self-direction. That you need this incredible strength that 我是没有主见 I don't have the sense of self-direction. From childhood, I followed the path my father set. I had no inner thoughts of betrayal, but the path he set for me was not right. And these first generation Chinese women in New Zealand, they all identify primarily as Chinese, not as New Zealanders. They're aware of the value of freedom to choose what you like in New Zealand. That's why they've chosen New Zealand. Lifestyle reasons. So I'll probably finish right here with this idea. I have a conclusion, but this last one. So I asked them, do you have any expectations for your children? And one of these other migrants, woman migrants, says basically not. After arriving in New Zealand, I feel as though as long as you're not doing things against good conscience, it's liangxing again, they don't need to worry about being a farmer. In China, being a farmer is the absolute bottom. No one wants to be a farmer, okay? Because in New Zealand, there aren't high and low occupations and occupational prejudice. That, by the way, is a howler monkey from Belize. I recorded that. A farmer can be a millionaire. And it's true. Everybody knows that, right? And they say, right, everyone is more no one is more respectful of the clothes than the person. This is very deep appreciation for the value of Kiwi culture. Everywhere you go, it's like that. Even if you're fishermen, they like this type of life. So I'll close with this, kind of drawing up, because this is all closed down, no more research on this anymore, because we've got to build economic growth. All right? Is the business migration category all there is? Or do we actually need to know how people do this? For those women, it's going to be an intergenerational process. Their hopes are for their children. They're not going to be the ones that bring in heaps of money and things like that for us. And so how do you translate the social cohesion magic that I've described here into tangible policy outcomes? And I have an instinct, after having doing these interviews, it's going to involve two things. First one I talked about is intergenerational. This is an investment. These women sacrifice everything to invest in New Zealand for the things I've talked about. And it's also transcultural. What the NZCA is doing now, especially in Auckland, is reaching across from their tight little Kiwi Chinese community to Chinese wider. And they say, as long as you want to be Kiwi Chinese, come and do that. And I have to say that hormones have a lot to do with things. Yeah, and within the NZCA leadership camp, there's already been a marriage, you know, and things like that. So, you know, it doesn't really matter if you speak Chinese well or whatever. Things will happen. You know, there's some magic happening here. And these groups are going to need one another. Because the Kiwi Chinese understand New Zealand. They can translate, they can bridge, but they don't understand China. They don't know it. These new ones do know it, but they don't have the access to New Zealand society. So that's that connectedness, social cohesion. Thank you very much for your attention.